YN walked into the grand dining hall of the Jaeon family mansion, her hand comfortably entwined with Jungkook's as they were welcomed by family and friends. The evening was meant to celebrate Jungkook's new business deal, a successful merger that had taken weeks of meticulous planning. But for YN, it was more than just a corporate success. It was a moment to share in her husband's triumph, to bask in the glow of his hard work and dedication. "Congratulations, Jungkook," she whispered, leaning in to kiss his cheek softly. Jungkook smiled, his eyes warm as they met hers. "Couldn't have done it without you, Mrs. Jaeon," he murmured back, squeezing her hand affectionately. The sound of someone clearing their throat nearby interrupted the intimate moment. YN glanced to her right and saw her younger sister, Hannah, smiling brightly at them. But there was something in Hannah's eyes, something sharp and calculating, that made YN's stomach twist uneasily. "Sorry to interrupt, but shouldn't the wife of such a successful man be more, involved in his affairs?" Hannah asked, her voice dripping with false sweetness. "I mean, YN, you were always more into, what was it again? Painting, art." YN stiffened, but before she could reply, Jungkook's arm slipped around her waist, pulling her closer. "And yet, she's been by my side every step of the way," he replied coolly, his eyes locking with Hannah's. "My business, my decisions, YN's support means more to me than anything." Hannah's smile faltered for a split second, but she recovered quickly, her expression smoothing back into one of practiced ease. "Of course, you two are such a perfect couple," she said, her tone a bit forced. YN felt Jungkook's fingers tighten around her waist. It was a small gesture, but it reassured her. They exchanged a quick glance, and in that moment, YN knew he had sensed the same thing she had. Hannah's admiration for Jungkook was laced with something far more dangerous. A few days after the dinner party, YN found herself sitting across from Hannah in a cozy cafe near their childhood home. The conversation started off light, reminiscing about old times, sharing family updates, but it soon veered into unexpected territory. "You know, Unnie," Hannah began, stirring her coffee absent-mindedly. "I always wondered how you managed to land someone like Jungkook." YN blinked, taken aback. "What do you mean?" "I mean, he's so powerful, so handsome." "And you're, you," Hannah said with a nonchalant shrug, her eyes gleaming with a hint of malice. "Hannah, what are you trying to say?" YN asked, her voice steady despite the sinking feeling in her chest. Hannah leaned forward, lowering her voice conspiratorially. "I'm saying that Jungkook deserves someone who truly understands him. Someone who's ambitious, who can match his drive. You're just enough." YN interrupted, her gaze hardening. "I know what you're trying to do, Hannah. And it won't work." Hannah's lips curved into a smirk. "Really? Because from where I'm standing, it seems like he's getting tired of you. He's too polite to say it, but I see it. He needs a woman who can help him build an empire, not just be a pretty decoration by his side." YN stood up abruptly, her hands trembling slightly as she gripped the edge of the table. "Jungkook and I love each other. Whatever you're trying to insinuate, it's not going to change that." Hannah's eyes narrowed. "We'll see about that." YN started noticing subtle changes in Jungkook's behavior. He'd come home late, looking exhausted and distracted. Meetings seemed to run longer than usual, and sometimes, he'd be completely lost in thought, barely responding when she spoke to him. One night, as they sat in the living room, YN decided she couldn't take the uncertainty anymore. She had to know what was going on. "Jungkook, is something bothering you?" she asked softly, placing her hand over his. He looked up, his eyes dark with an emotion she couldn't quite place. "YN, there's something I need to tell you." Her heart skipped a beat. "What is it?" "Your sister," he began slowly, his voice measured. "Hannah, she's been showing up at my office, trying to get close. She's been saying things." YN's blood ran cold. "What kind of things?" Jungkook hesitated, then sighed. "She's been telling people that you're not fit to be by my side. That you don't belong in this world with me. That she would be a better match." The office was eerily quiet that evening, the only sound being the soft hum of the air conditioning and the faint click of Jungkook's pen against his desk. He sat behind his large mahogany desk, his eyes scanning over the final documents for the upcoming board meeting. Everything seemed in place until the soft creak of his office door interrupted his thoughts. Jungkook looked up and saw Hannah, standing at the entrance with a forced smile on her face. She was dressed in an elegant white dress, her hair perfectly styled, and a determined glint in her eyes. For a moment, Jungkook simply stared at her, his gaze unreadable. "Jungkook," she began sweetly, stepping into the office and closing the door behind her. "I thought we could talk, privately." Jungkook leaned back in his chair, raising an eyebrow. "This isn't a good time, Hannah. If it's about business, you should talk to my secretary and schedule an appointment." She let out a soft, breathy laugh, waving her hand dismissively. "Oh, come on, don't be so formal. It's just me, Hannah. I'm family, after all." Jungkook's jaw tightened slightly. He knew what she was trying to do. This wasn't the first time she'd tried to corner him in his office or drop by unannounced. But something about her demeanor today seemed different, bolder, more desperate. "What do you want, Hannah?" he asked, his tone clipped. Hannah tilted her head, a coy smile playing on her lips. "I want to talk about us." "Us?" Jungkook repeated, his voice laced with disbelief. "There is no us, Hannah. I'm married to YN. You're her sister." Hannah's smile faltered, but she quickly recovered, taking a step closer to his desk. "Why do you keep pretending, Jungkook? We both know I'm the one who understands you best. I'm the one who can help you in this corporate world, make your life easier. YN, she's sweet, but she's not cut out for this." Jungkook's eyes darkened, his patience wearing thin. "Don't talk about YN like that." Hannah's gaze hardened, a flash of anger crossing her face. "Why not? It's the truth. You're always defending her, always putting her on this pedestal as if she's some perfect angel. But she's not, Jungkook. She's just a liability. If you were with me, you'd have a partner who could actually support you, who could stand by your side in every boardroom, who..." "Enough." Jungkook's voice was sharp and cold, cutting through the air like a blade. He stood up, his tall frame towering over Hannah as he rounded the desk, his expression one of pure, unyielding resolve. "Hannah, you need to understand something," he said slowly, his voice low and dangerous. "There will never be an us. Not in this lifetime, not in any lifetime. The only person I want by my side, the only person I need, is YN." Hannah's face twisted in desperation. "But Jungkook..." "No," he interrupted firmly, his gaze burning with intensity. "Listen to me carefully. YN is my wife. She is my partner, my love, and the only woman I'll ever want. You think you can step into her shoes? You think you can replace her?" He took another step closer, his voice dropping to a dangerous whisper. "You're delusional, Hannah, and more importantly, you're insulting my wife with your behavior. I've been patient because you're her sister. I've tried to let things slide because I didn't want to cause a rift between you and YN. But this..." He gestured around the office, his eyes blazing. "This ends now." Hannah's eyes were wide, her face pale as she realized the full extent of his anger. "But, if you ever try to pull something like this again," Jungkook continued, his voice icy, "you'll be out of not just my life, but YN's too. I won't let you hurt her, Hannah. Not ever." Hannah swallowed hard, tears welling up in her eyes. "Jungkook, please, I only did this because I love you." Jungkook shook his head slowly, his expression one of utter disappointment. "You don't love me, Hannah. You just want what I have. But you'll never have it. Because I only belong to one woman, and that's YN." With that, he turned away, his back straight and unyielding, leaving Hannah standing there, defeated and humiliated. "Get out," he said quietly, his voice laced with finality. "Before I call security and have you escorted out." Hannah let out a choked sob, then spun on her heel and fled the office, her heels clicking loudly against the marble floor. Jungkook waited until the sound faded, then exhaled deeply, running a hand through his hair as he tried to calm his racing heart. YN felt a surge of anger and betrayal, her hands clenching into fists. How could she? How dare she? Jungkook stood up abruptly, his expression fierce. "Listen to me, YN. I don't care what she says. I don't care what anyone says. You're my wife, my only wife, and no one, not even your sister, can change that." YN looked up at him, her eyes glistening with unshed tears. "But she's my sister, Jungkook. How could she do this?" "Because she's jealous," he replied, his voice gentle now. "She's envious of what we have. But she crossed a line, and I'm not going to let her get away with it." YN's heart swelled with gratitude and love for the man standing before her, so strong, so unwavering in his support. "What are you going to do?" "I already did it," he said, his tone firm. "I had a meeting with her today. I made it clear that she's no longer welcome in our lives unless she respects our marriage. I told her that if she ever tries to come between us again, she'll be out of not just my life, but yours as well. YN stared at him, her heart pounding. You did that for me. Jungkook nodded, stepping closer to cup her face in his hands. I love you, YN. Only you, and no one, no matter who they are, will ever change that. You're my wife, my partner. You belong by my side. Always. Tears spilled down YN's cheeks as she looked up at him, overwhelmed by his love and devotion. I love you too, Jungkook. I thank you for standing up for us. He smiled softly, brushing a kiss against her forehead. You don't have to thank me, baby. It's my job to protect you. To protect us. She wrapped her arms around his waist, burying her face in his chest as he held her close. And for the first time in days, YN felt at peace, knowing that no matter what obstacles came their way, she and Jungkook would face them together. A week later, Hannah showed up at their home, her expression defiant as she demanded to speak to Jungkook. Jungkook, she began, her voice trembling with barely concealed anger. How could you do this to me? I'm your sister-in-law. Jungkook's eyes were cold as he regarded her, his arm wrapped protectively around YN's shoulders. You're YN's sister. And I respected that, but you crossed a line, Hannah. You tried to break up my marriage. You tried to take my wife's place. There's no forgiveness for that. Hannah's face twisted with rage. I only wanted what's best for you. What's best for me is standing right here, Jungkook said, his voice sharp. YN is my wife. My choice. And she will be for the rest of my life. YN watched as Hannah's expression crumbled, the realization dawning on her that she'd lost, completely and utterly. There was no place for her in Jungkook's heart. There never would be. With a defeated sob, Hannah turned and fled, leaving YN and Jungkook standing together, united and unbroken. Jungkook turned to YN, his gaze softening as he pulled her close. I'm sorry you had to go through this. Previous day, YN replayed Jungkook's words in her mind as she stood beside him in their living room, her gaze fixed on Hannah's retreating figure. Her sister had shown up uninvited, making one last desperate attempt to win Jungkook over. But he hadn't wavered, not once. As the door slammed shut behind Hannah, YN let out a shaky breath, turning to face Jungkook. Why didn't you tell me all of this sooner? She asked quietly, her eyes searching his. Jungkook sighed, pulling her into his arms. Because I didn't want to worry you. I thought I could handle it. I didn't want you to think I was doubting you or us. YN buried her face in his chest, inhaling his familiar scent. I would never doubt you, Jungkook. She's my sister, and it hurts to see her like this. But you protected me, even when I wasn't there. I'll always protect you, baby, he murmured, his lips brushing against her hair. No matter what, I love you, YN. Only you. And I'll prove that every day for the rest of our lives. YN pulled back slightly, looking up at him with a soft smile. You don't have to prove anything, Jungkook. You already have. Just promise me one thing. Anything, he whispered, his eyes locked on hers. Promise me that no matter what happens, we'll face it together. No more secrets, no more hiding things to protect me. We're in this as a team. Jungkook nodded, his heart swelling with love for the incredible woman in his arms. I promise, YN. You and me, forever. No one can come between us. Good, YN murmured, leaning up to press a gentle kiss to his lips. Because I'm not going anywhere. Not for you, not for anyone. Jungkook's arms tightened around her, and as he kissed her back, he knew without a doubt that nothing, not jealousy, not betrayal, not even family ties, could ever break the bond they shared. Forever, he whispered against her lips. Forever, she echoed, smiling as they held each other close, ready to face whatever challenges the world threw their way. Scene fades out with Jungkook and YN wrapped in a loving embrace, their bond stronger and more unbreakable than ever.